Welcome, fellow armchair general. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 4 with World Ablaze mod. Is this better than Black Ice? I don't know yet. I don't have a conclusion yet. But before we get into all of that, a couple of notes. One, just had again today, and it's not I don't see it as a problem from the viewers. Well, it's a problem for the viewers. This is not a knock or a bashing of the viewers for this question. Was they commented on my maneuver warfare video that I made, live stream. I'll also put one up in the regular. YouTube shows different things differently with live streams versus uploaded videos, so I will often re-upload some similar content. Which I've gotten this before. You want to try Gary Grigsby's War in the East? So I, say, well, we've got a lot of series out there. Some are hard to find with a link to me playing Gary Grigsby's War in the East. And hey, trust me, I'm not in any way trying to bash the viewer for not knowing that I have them there. Quite the contrary, and I do mean it's a problem for them in that they may be interested in it, and it isn't easy for them to find that it's there. And so whether it's my fault for organizing the channel the way it is, or whether it's YouTube's fault for their organizing YouTube the way it is, you might want to check out, this is a long time getting there, my channel page. I know some of you may just get this from your subscription feeds, from the home page, or some of the other stuff that I get from the different stats, how some of you find channels. Go look at my page, and then you can always hit playlists. There's a button up there and whatnot. That's something I have a lot more control over, and there are some obscure series that you might be interested in, and just because I'm either, some are completed, some are just inactive, but that doesn't mean they're any less valuable. So you might want to go check that out. And also, now that you've all left, with that long explanation, you might want to, Toy Jet, you might want to also subscribe to the channel so that you can hit that subscribe button so you can find my sort of subscription page. Okay, enough with the advertisements or PSAs, public service announcements. Let's get into this. I had a long talk on Monday of this last week with Uncharted, the primary and not sole, but overwhelming amount of development work done for this mod. And sort of with his help, I've looked into the mod a little deeper than what I have before, because literally just everything I've looked into it, you've basically seen it on camera. One of the things I was not readily aware of is he's gone and made equipment attrition only 1/4 of what it is in the standard game. And to give some sort of feedback on that and his viewpoint, and I also give the developer's viewpoint here. His viewpoint is hey, most of the time, attrition, whether in combat or in training, or movement, stuff is repairable, and things get repaired. And I do know that specifically, like the French during World War I had a fairly large factory, if we want to call it a factory. I could call it a maintenance depot or something, but basically a factory level repair facility for rifles, that basically all rifles were to be collected off the front lines. French rifles we're talking about here. Almost I'm not going to say, if things are completely twisted in barrels and non-functional, but generally non-functional type weapons were to be collected, brought in, and eventually work their way back to this depot, in which they would rehabilitate the rifles. Things and like a good description was a rifle is where nearby an artillery burst or grenade burst happens. Well, the rifle may be fine and functional in the general sense, but one thing they said is they'd often maybe collect a lot of little metal fragments in the wooden stock, which are potentially razor sharp or just sharp, and make it difficult to hand grip onto the wooden stock. And it's not necessarily things that could be readily, just a few things picked out of it. So they would send, say, a rifle like that. That would be an easy fix to just pop the stock off, put a new stock on, send rifle, not necessarily back to the same unit by any means, but just back into the supply chain. And I'm sure they also cannibalized, if the barrel's wrecked, but hey, the bolt's fine, use that bolt over, because that bolt may be like new, because just what happened to it wrecked the barrel, and it had only been at the front 5 days. And so I definitely know that they had, whether it's rifles or tanks, lots of repair. By the time units are getting outside of Moscow, my understanding is they're had 70-80% attrition of, say, the tanks, but that doesn't mean direct or complete losses in combat, and that they may be, the tanks are strung out in various field workshops along the line of advance that are getting transmission replacement, whether the transmission was hit by a penetrating shell, that they're going to replace the transmission, weld onto a patch onto the hole over the hole in the armor, the hole in the hole, two different words, sound similar, and get that tank back into the field, or whether the transmission is just worn out and needs replacement / enough repair that you just replace it and then send the transmission back to whatever factory transmission refurbishment capabilities they have. And that is very true. And so, now the Germans lost massive amounts of equipment during the Russian counteroffensive, partially from equipment just on the front lines that, say, froze in place. Either the draft animals that were in huts being kept warm in the winter, they were unable to move the artillery piece they were supposed to pull through the snow. They can't pull it out through the snow in enough time to retreat out, so the artillery piece and the horses may or may not have been lost. They may just unlimber the horses and walk them out, of course. But they have to leave the artillery piece, or these repair depots that are significantly behind the lines, but with massive retreating, the repair depots are overrun by the Soviets. So Germany loses massive amounts of equipment in that counteroffensive. So even when units might come out fairly intact, as in manpower might, the damn, this looks bad, but nothing to do with the mod, just half-buried tank. So yes, the repair. Now, and that's Uncharted's viewpoint, is that most of the equipment's repaired. Now, Paradox viewpoint, which, and trust me, they know a lot of the stuff, they have either working directly for them or, shall we say, volunteers, are very well informed about World War II. And some of them are, say, naval specialists. Make my naval knowledge look pitifully little, kind of thing. And I know some of these people. And so, they're well informed of these facts. Paradox's viewpoint is, and I know this is taking a long time getting here, but is that, yeah, you're replacing the whole tank, but what they're meaning using is the tank is lost. Basically, you're getting a bunch of tank parts that are replacing the losses. So instead, you know, if say you it figures attrition loss, and this is not combat losses, it's just moving or training attrition loss or whatnot, of 25%. Let's just say, I don't know the numbers right off the top of my head. It's not that you lose 1/4 of your tanks; it's all of your tanks need effective 25% replacement parts. Transmission, road wheels, tracks, segments, broken pieces in the barrel or the sight system or whatever. That's sort of all evolving. So since they don't do supplies, which always sort of represented a combination of supply and replacement of equipment, they're just meaning, so instead of you're replacing the full artillery piece, you're replacing parts of it. Yeah. So neither of these solutions, Uncharted or the Paradox solution, is entirely correct. They're just trying to do it. So that's one thing. And since I'm used to playing the Paradox viewpoint, I've always found or thought that training was an expensive luxury. Now, what they have done here is they have added very much here. Green experience gives a negative 50% modifier in combat. So they really need their units to not be, they need to be trained. Now we can see here, there's regular, trained. Let's come up to here. We have veterans. My thought generally is to put them into combat and they will become veterans. 2 of these divisions are veterans because they've been in the Spanish Civil War, trained 0% modifiers, regular 25% down to green. So that is something you need to be aware of with this mod. Excuse me, bump that. And of course, we're having a great audience because I've scared them all away with this stuff. Okay, we're going to, let's do it here and create another hired command general. And we're not going to use Carl Eggleslier. I don't know, never know if I've heard that pronounced correctly. What do we have? Okay. Look. I just have. Oh, there's Deedle. Cool. Looking for Von Kleist. Not that he was so good, or by any means, just more historical. Leader of the Panzer Corps. To promote up. There we go. 30 command points. Okay, we'll spend it. Okay. And so there we have armored officer. Yes, he's not necessarily very good, but we're going to move that there. So now we have a Panzer Mobile Army command setup here. Now, we still just have German theater here. Let's create Mountain Warfare Command. And we will get Deedle. He's sort of my favorite Mountain Warfare guy. There we go. And he's pretty damn good. Okay. So we now have Deedle there. We have a regular, a trained, and untrained. Okay. L division. Okay, that sucks. Let's change template. I think that we'll just change it over to Panzer Division. Yes. There we go. Now, unfortunately, this, I don't know why the Austrian army is considered green. I wouldn't. But I don't know, maybe they have some. And the Austrians did have a Canal division, which had tanks. Mostly Italian CVs, but CV-33s. So they sucked. And a locally built armored car. Okay, so that gives us 2 corps of panzers, 1 corps of mountain troops, and then various infantry units. Okay, let's create another. I don't know if we want to call these corps or armies. I don't like this. I like the last system, and I understand a lot of people don't like the micromanaging element of putting all the divisions into a corps. I came up on paper with a good sort of AI or leader, automatic leader signing that would be reasonably good. Not that I could program it into the computer, but temporarily we're putting it in there. Okay, so his units. Pick up the blue ones down here. We're going to go off to East Prussia. Set them up to here. That'll be our East Prussian command. Okay, we have 13 divisions here. Probably need to set up a, I think I'm going to call this organization. This episode. Okay, we're going to, okay, new theater. You get to come to the new theater. West front. West. There we go, and this is going to be post RONT. Keep things a little better organized. Now here we're going to give you von Rundstedt. Again, just sort of history, if you will. Modal should not be a area commander. Okay. You go to West Front because, oh, hey, you're, no, I'm down here. Why, okay, no. There we go. Because you're on the West Front. Hey, what do you know? Lots of panzer generals, very few infantry generals. Okay, and that is we're part of that unit. Now, yeah.
Ausrücken! Achtung! Achtung! Ausrücken! Ausrücken! Ausrücken!
Toy Jet. Now, gamer, I'm going to have my dinner when I get back. I expect to see at least a pair of battleships or carriers under construction. Nope, we're not doing that this time. You know that. You know that. Sorry, maybe some other future playthroughs we will indulge your naval fetish. But not at this time. But have a good dinner. See you when you get back.
Ihre Befehle! Achtung! Ihre Befehle! Befehle!
I think we need to add more divisions here.
Ausrücken! Ausrücken!
We're dealing with.
Angetreten!
I just found out literally yesterday. Belgium,
Bereit.
I'm presuming, because I know it was with one, with a BAR, but I'm presuming the rest of them, they use 30-06 as their infantry cartridge, or, their rifle cartridge. Shocked the hell out of me. Using the American 30-06. I don't know why Belgium did that. This is before World War II, of course. With little or no American armies in sight. We need to go to our mountain port here. Okay. Well, let's select all, put them on here, come together. There we go. I know we're sending the Mountain Corps to fight in the flatlands of Denmark. Hey, Smiley. Well, yeah, Hi, Smiley. Yeah, so, no, did I say Belgium? Luxembourg. It's Luxembourg. If I was saying Belgium, sorry, Luxembourg. If I said that. But yeah, Luxembourg. Luxembourg used 30-06. They had some Belgian-made BAR, is how I know, in 30-06. It looked like at least 250 of them as a serial number thing. So, yeah, Luxembourg used 30-06, which is very interesting. Yes, hello, Smiley. Good to have you here. I probably misspoke there. I'm looking at different things, thinking of whatnot, both the Belgium and Luxembourg. Yeah, so that was interesting. And of course, after World War II, basically everybody goes the NATO caliber. Say basically because we have the example of France not doing so. But of course, Belgium and Luxembourg are neighbors. Okay, now. You guys just moved there. Just select all there. We'll do some border reorganization. Okay, so that gives us. Well, let's select all. Let's move panzers to a central location. Don't feel threatened by all this movement to your border. Poland, it's just natural, normal training operations. We're just preparing for, I don't know, Soviet invasion across your territory. Nothing to be suspicious about. Okay. And how are we doing with equipment? Okay, now also, Uncharted, who has been watching all of the episodes, though not necessarily live, has given me some good feedback on production. So I have radically adjusted my production totals based upon his advice as to what is needed. I don't know if we need a lot more steel here. We shifted in a lot more tungsten. Okay, well, we don't need to reactivate aluminum smelters. Okay. So that means, well, okay, let's let the clock. And hello, Juice Lede. Okay, certainly. The simple reason is they suck, the battle planning system. They've gotten a little bit better. They've gotten a little bit worse. Okay. and I was talking to Uncharted, who's done actual AI programming in parts of Iron 4. Because they've added, if you will, the field marshal level above, or the army group level, I guess these are army, maybe I should call these armies and these army groups instead of corps, is the way the AI evaluates the front line is by him, not by each individual army under his command. So meaning that if something is, say, weak up here, but you could, your defenses are weak here, but they're good here, they'll shift forces around. Or if this is hard to take, but this is easy to take, they wait till it comes here, and he can explain it better than I can. And so that the AI does very poorly broad front strategies. They often want to complete, like if you have a pocket, you can see this a lot. They've got, say, some pulls here in Poznan. They will want to wait to fully get units all the way around it and then push in it, when you can have 3 divisions here and a pocket of, say, 2 divisions here that they could just move straight into. It really sucks. You also can draw a lot of cool battle plans, and trust me, I've maybe not as much as any one of you, because I've sort of given up doing it. Is I can draw, good spearhead operations, and then watch my panzers spread out instead of keep going along the spearhead. I do know they have the spearhead function, which helps some of that, but it just really is not a good thing. It just really does not work. Now, I will, it's not a never. I mostly use battle plans when I'm playing multiplayer. It's rare that I play it, but I was playing as the British Raj, had battle plans for. Now, they do generally also work better in defense, but, and this is another problem with defense, but let's take here, for example. If I draw now you can do sort of fallback lines, but the AI cannot evaluate the idea of, hey, well, maybe we want to hold a more straight line here and not put single divisions, meaning, like, let's say they could hold a line along here that would be 2 divisions strong. Each province have 2 divisions, draw a line here. But by extending the line out to here, each province is defended by 1 division. Well, which is going to be stronger when attacked? And so it will try to hold bulges, pockets are cut off bulges, I guess. But it'll try to do that, trying to hold all those territories. Now, that is good when you, say, have a panzer force that is thrusting deeper and deeper into the enemy along a narrow front, and you want to make sure that you have, say, infantry division so it doesn't become cut off, and then maybe try to push out, expand, it out in either side as you go through it. So, actually, and hi, Uncharted. Good to have you. Been talking about you a bit here before you got here. All good, thanks. I actually made a save from what we worked on, and so this is basically working from the save that, or working from what you had me change. So it's more than just using what you said. It's exactly what you did. Here, I was smiling. I use them only as they stick to the front lines. If I don't want them, I detach them and use them as separate U-port. Yeah, that's fine. And so, like I was saying, when I was playing as the British Raj in a big multiplayer game, I set up a bunch of front lines over here ready for a Japanese attack. The Chinese player unfortunately defeated Japan, so my front lines never, my battle plans were never used. And I was personally commanding the British Raj's commitment to North Africa, micromanaging that in a multiplayer game. So especially when you're playing multiplayer and you have, global commitments, and you're not doing the stop. What game was this? The multiplayer was with Black Ice, and maybe almost a year ago or more. I don't play much multiplayer, but so I will use them in that kind of conditions. There is, if you want to keep the game flowing and you want to do, like coastal defense, that kind of stuff could work. I would rather just know, oh, there's an invasion planned or whatever, let me micromanage it. I can spend months playing a game slowly, nicely, and enjoy it. So speed has become a bit more important as I'm trying to make things flow nice for YouTube, but speed is not important to me. I love, compared to the original, or well, not original, but compared to Hearts of Iron 3, the invasion, naval invasion elements and the paratroop planning needs. I really like those in the game. I like that you sort of need to plan, set them up, wait, have them happen, that kind of thing, because that's realistic, because you have a lot of preparation going for it. If you're just dropping in essence, a commando raid, which we would, definitely look at Eben Amal, the fortress where the Germans used glider paratroopers. I mean, they were paratroopers, but they landed in gliders to attack in a special engineering unit of that to boot, to attack that fortress from above. Or if you're looking at a simple, seize a particular bridge. We're not talking about, the movie, the book, A Bridge Too Far, taking all these major bridges, rivers, whatnot, to get in as a, core level exercise, because there was, 3 airborne landings done, 2 Americans and a British, with a 4th, I hope I'm getting all this right, with a 4th Polish airborne operation plan. And so that's a major planning needs to happen. But if you're just talking about like a commando raid to take a single bridge, no, you don't need all that. But then again, this game is scaled up above that level for units. So we don't really simulate that with this game. So I really like that, those planning elements. So as Uncharted and I were talking Monday, basically Paradox just doesn't have the AI talents to have the AI run battle plans well. Now, in their sort of and we're going to see some of Uncharted's work in the French defense of, I'm going to slow this down a little bit, of France. And so we will see how well that works. Okay. Now, and he has informed me that they've gotten rid of there's a way to bypass, a way with a cost, he said, bypass, which I'm glad they're doing it for the next version. Lack of offensive plans in the West. Ribbentrop Molotov. I don't know. Well, no, we're in March 39. We don't need to do that yet at all. Gotta look at the dates. Let's look at some air power stuff here. Okay, passenger planes. I'm not sure, Uncharted, since you're hanging out here, why you came up with passenger planes for tactical bombers. I would rename that, maybe you say here, I would rename that mail planes. A lot of the bomber development, air quotes you can't see, I'll talk about that again in a moment, Smiley. If you look at them, they're very small, narrow, the tactical bombers, the Douaniers. They were publicly espoused as very fast mail planes. So, yes, the Germans did have Ju-52, the passenger plane. But I would say it's much more just, and this is an immersion thing, much more to do with male planes than passenger planes. Passenger planes would definitely be more things like the FW-200, the Condor. What's Uberus Niche? Yeah, I mean, nicely simulates preparation needed on the smallest scale, a commando raid, intelligence gathering, multiple plans development. In the case of Germany trying to placate Goering's ego. Yep, there's some of that stuff. And yeah, on the tactical scale, for when you're planning a, von Manstein's plan, invasion of France and whatever they're planning that out. But there's also not quite spur of the moment, but shall we say short notice that doesn't take a lot of, many days of preparations that you can just drop in there. Continue autarky. This is, and I don't know if he's come to my way of thinking. This, in my opinion, and he says it's from the German side. I don't see evidence of it from the German side. Is changing the bad opinion, so basically cuts Germany off from a lot of rare materials in a practical sense. And also comes up that I disagree with, is he has American embargoes against us, which I don't see until Germany's actually started the war. So my last playthrough, I did this early trying to get to invest in IG Farben, which I wanted to do because it helps out so much. And whether this should be here, but without requiring nationalized synthetic industries, which of course is not what Germany did, though I guess you can do the coal. And either way, it's fine to have a historical, non-historical, whatever you say, options, because you're giving the player an option. Do you want to nationalize the synthetic industry or keep it in private hands? Okay, so I disagree with all of these penalties. I definitely agree with an attempt, a focus on development internally. But my readings have all shown a willingness to import import foreign resources if you can't get them locally. If you can get them locally, they definitely encourage that over foreign. But if there's a shortfall, and the reason was twofold of why they want to do autarkies. One is trade balance, imbalance, whatever you want to call it. Because of various economic depressions going on around the world, there isn't necessarily commercial markets for Germany to sell its commercial goods. So, and it doesn't have, and it's also still paying off loans and reparations from World War II. So it doesn't have a lot of foreign currency, and since people don't want to buy things from Germany, they're not interested in German currency. So there is that problem with the sort of economic problem with the economy. And secondarily, or maybe primarily, I should say, you have Hitler's plans on wars, and knowing from World War I, they're likely to be cut off from resources because of Britain, America, French, and other naval powers keeping them from trading, so they wanted to develop them domestically. So while I agree with the idea that Germany, not the idea, they were pursuing an autarky, but they weren't, from everything that I've read, doing it stupidly, meaning if they don't have enough aluminum, or let's say they don't have enough rubber made domestically, they're going to buy it internationally. As much, now there might be shortfalls in the trade balance, and since we don't have money and they just buy factories, the economics aren't quite as good as simulation as it could be. Okay, let's see. Okay, we're going to start a production line of these because I want to. Okay, so what we need to do is steel and tungsten. steel. See, again, embargoed by the U.S., I don't see that as happening. Now, maybe the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact would help that. I guess we can get this for just 2 civilian factories. Again, partially why I don't like, another sort of reason why I don't like the Reichskommissariat idea here, because there really isn't even that level of need to trade or buy. Tungsten. Do they have any tungsten in their Reichskommissariat? And I just, again, because my belief that Czechoslovakia had very much within living memory 20 years ago been under German rule, Austria. It's not a difficulty. A lot of people read an article, it's many years ago now, in the 20s, in the first half of the 1930s, if not up until the German invasion, Czechs living in Prague often spoke German to each other as a social status situation in which to show that they are of higher social status, meaning they know German. It is definitely the language of the intellectual or the industrial technical fields in Czechoslovakia is German at this time. So German is not foreign to them. It may not be their Czech language. Now German becomes unfashionable as time goes on, particularly with the the Sudeten threat and then whatnot. So they stop as a sort of, hey, we're superior, we speak German. Not because Germany is superior or whatnot. It's just we are the educated. It's like in the at least 18th century, early 19th century Austrian Empire, or the Habsburg Empire, maybe I should say, but in Austria, the elites spoke French to each other, which is, now a lot of the elites in, say, the Prussian Empire might have also spoken French, but they mostly, spoke or read some French. I don't know on individual education, but it was described that the Austrian nobles spoke French to each other and German to their servants. So you often have this case of language denoting status. And so this is why, partially why, a Reichskommissariat moving into, say, the Ukraine or some of these other areas where you don't have a legacy of German being used. It's not immediate integration, where you have near immediate integration by the Germans coming over it. Yes, this is Moravia, and these two are Bohemia. And Bohemian and Moravia is sort of put together as, not as a Reichskommissariat, but that's like just a title here, but as a protectorate. So, and they mostly called it a protectorate, mostly, to try to placate the West. And that is another element here, where I would argue greater integration into Germany than a protectorate. And that is partially why they create the general government for Poland, is to go, hey, we're not really conquering all Poland, we're just taking back our territory, and we're setting up a, air quotes, protectorate, the general government for the peoples of Poland. It's as much for external image as it is for internal image. And so, I have been informed that this will go be annexed straight into Germany. So that's how I would call this here, even though by name they didn't do so. It just because this area again in living memory had been Germanly governed. So just my arguments for this stuff. Okay, so that is why I'm not yet ready to cut off my nose here. That's why I'm not doing that. I'm planning on doing that after the war starts. We're going to do Luftwaffe expansion of some sort here. That would help with that. Improve the Enigma. Aerial performance. Oh, we should do this. Okay, 7 days. Now, we still have. Well, let's build more factories here. And again, just because I think something, Memel, Lithuania full, okay. Just because I think something doesn't mean that I am correct and somebody else is wrong. It's just my view of the situation. Naval production. Well, I'll let you see it. You're not going to like it. Submarines! Okay, we still need more steel and tungsten. Okay, well, we can get Portugal for now. And steel. Now we need a little more. Let's get it from Italy at least. We're not doing a naval strategy. I don't expect this game to be played. If we go in and crush the Soviet Union, great, through this series, but that will probably be where I stop this series. Just because. Okay, so got some research there. Okay, yeah, we're still well and early. Yeah, I'm not against the idea of that. Let's really. And although I could, of course,
Bereit zum Ausrücken. Achtung. Bereit.
Switch to producing big stuff now. I just don't see a need for it.
Bereit. Ausrücken. Bereit zum Ausrücken. Angetreten.
See how that goes. Dealing with the border here. Okay, well, let's see. We have 50,000 infantry equipment, 5,000 heavy. Let's add some units there. Hopefully that will. Okay, now we have our panzers here. No, I don't want to do that. I just want to select all, and we want to train, and we want to train, and they're up there. They're still moving around. They're sort of here, and we want to train. And here, blue. Oh, we need to move you guys. Can we just do that simply there? Yep. And our plane over here, we want to train. I'm still, I'll fill the gaps in later. Still of the opinion that we don't want to train these guys too early, though I'm not sure we will find out. whether the beginning of 39 is too early or too late for getting training out of the rival Yamato class. Well, I'm not sure how well in the game it would go, but when air power can just sink the Yamato class from the land, I don't know why we would care about making the Yamato class. Seems almost as if you wish to make your big structures for big structures' sake and not for their functional capability.
Ihre Befehle? Bereit. Befehle?
Well,
Zuhören.
that very well may be true.
Ausrücken.
Okay, you guys are now more or less where I want you.
Befehle.
And you guys, I guess you're up there, so we should train you up. Hello. Hopefully I'm getting that right. Sorry. Glad to have you here. Okay. Our
Zuhören.
East Prussia army here is yes, they're impractical and cumbersome. 500mm guns, however big that is, I don't know. I measure guns in inches when it comes to naval guns. Why aren't you training? Why aren't all of you training here? Okay, let's
Ihre Befehle?
select all. Now hit train. Training now. There we go. Britain and France announce an alliance. Award air contracts, light aircraft, Fallschirmjägers. We have time for Fallschirmjägers. We'll do that. 19-inch guns. Okay. Certainly, Jason West. How you doing? Okay, this is based on. Okay, Uncharted is gone, and these are specifically set up. Oh, well, I have not. Oh, I have not changed these. We need to change these. Okay. You want 30 combat with divisions, not 31. I've gone too big on this. So what was the advice here to you still around, Uncharted? Yeah, well, that's it. We need to reduce that by 1 with, and our Panzer Division at 24, we need to expand that as well. 19-inch, well, 8, let's see, the new, what is it? New Jersey class? Oh, I forget. The last big, the Iowa class. Iowa class battleships had 16-inch guns. The Yamato had 18-inch guns. So we need to do this. So 30 with this mod, the way it's been set up, is the best division width is 30, not 31, not 40. What was the suggestion to change? Combat width. No. Going down, I think maybe it was an anti-tank weapons. That would do this. So let's do that. Do we have enough anti-tank weapons? No, not nearly. Let's get rid of that. That may help us out. Let's just remove that. Okay, well, I'll cancel this. Let's remove that. I just want to remove that. That should dump a lot of anti-tank weapons into our reserve pile. And this mod is not so far as a total conversion mod, but it is a major rework mod. Okay, why are we? Oh, because those support units don't have a width. That's right. Okay, now we do that. Okay, well, here we go. So we have 2K whatever available. We need almost 3K. So let's do this. That gets us down to 30 width units. And if we were to come over here and go with a regular infantry battalion, problem is we don't have enough heavy infantry weapons to do that. So we're going to keep light as a fallback need, whatever. So we have finished up most of our radar expansion. Okay, we're going to end the episode, not the live stream. You guys can hang loose. But those watching later on YouTube, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And I'd love to hear your comments. Please post them below. See you next time for more, yes, more Hearts of Iron.